podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier radio networks, 200 stations coast to coast, on Saturday, August 1st, 2020. This is episode 1715. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from TWiT's LastPass studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether employees are working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more. This episode of the Tech Guy is brought to you by CashFly. Give your users the seamless online experience they want. Power your site or app with CashFly's CDN and be 30% faster than the competition. Learn more at twit.cashfly.com. And by LastPass. Allow your remote workforce the ability to do their best work without jumping through hoops to ensure your business security with LastPass. Visit lastpass.com/twit to find out how they can help you. And by Monday.com. Monday.com is a flexible platform to manage any team, project, or workflow online. Collaborate, plan, and track everything your team's working on, wherever you are. To start your free 14-day trial, go to monday.com/twit. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. First day of August, and it's time to talk tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, Tick Tock, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that jazz. The stuff that's changing the world around us. Phone number 8888. Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach us. But you got to do it using some sort of special technology. You know about that stuff, right? Technology like Skype out, something that'll call a phone number from the internet. Lots of solutions there. And it shouldn't cost you anything because, it's a toll-free number. I'll give it to you one more time. 8888. Ask Leo. We're waiting for the president to announce that he's going to ban TikTok. Oh, I think how you come down on this probably depends somewhat on age and whether you use TikTok. Do you use TikTok? Do you know what TikTok is? You know what TikTok is. It's a social network that has come out of nowhere to become the #1 social network in the United States. Yes, bigger than Instagram, bigger than Facebook, bigger than Twitter. TikTok. Now, this week, the big four CEOs went to Washington. Well, they didn't really go there. They Zoomed to Washington. Well, actually, they WebExed to Washington. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Alphabet and Google. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO and founder of Facebook. Tim Apple, the CEO and founder. No, he's not a founder, just CEO of Cook. I'm sorry, he's Tim Cook, founder of Apple, CEO of Apple. Who did I leave out? Oh, yeah. A guy who's never been to D.C. in his whole life. He owns the paper there, but he's never had to testify to Congress. Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon. And the whole thing was, it was about two things, depending on which party you are a member of. For the Democrats, it was about whether these guys are too big, too powerful, whether they should perhaps be broken up. For the Republicans, it's whether they were biased and spreading fake news and all that stuff. And it was the usual, kind of circus, congressional circus. Although there were, a lot of facts revealed and so forth. So that was Wednesday or Tuesday. That was Wednesday, I guess. Friday, the whole discussion changes. Because as Mr. Cook, Pichai, Bezos, and Zuckerberg all said, there's lots of competition. In fact, the biggest competition for Facebook, the biggest threat to Facebook right now is TikTok. Well, what a gift the president gave Facebook and maybe even Microsoft. Maybe not. Might be a gift horse for Microsoft. Boarding Air Force One yesterday, he said he'll act as soon as today to ban TikTok from the United States. Like, the Chinese banned Twitter. They banned Facebook. They banned a lot of U.S. Companies in China. But I can't think of an example of a Chinese app that's been banned in the U.S. We banned Huawei. We actually have the capability. There's the Committee for Foreign Investment in the U.S., CFIUS, that is kind of a little-known group that can actually say, yeah, you can't do business in the United States. And they actually did that eventually to Huawei. Didn't hurt Huawei. They are now the #1 cell phone manufacturer and seller in the world, beating Samsung and Apple quite handily. Because what happened? Well, in China, patriotically, they all went out and bought Huawei phones, I guess. So Huawei had its best quarter ever. So never mind about that. Let's see. So now they want to ban TikTok because it's owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance. TikTok's an interesting story. It was originally Chinese. Then they merged with a U.S. company called Musical.ly. They bought them a couple of years ago. And that's when TikTok took off. Because Musical.ly was the one that had that feature that the kids love so much of lip syncing to existing music tracks. And TikTok did everything right. They brought that in. They made it really easy for kids to share videos, to make videos, to see a video and say, I'm going to do my version of that video. That was, I think, the secret sauce, so that you got all these kind of derivative videos. And it was just so much fun. And then the true secret sauce kicked in, which we've talked about before, the algorithm, which said, this one's popular, this one's not. It's what Facebook does. It's what Twitter does. It's what Google does at YouTube. The algorithm is very powerful because it can watch it hears from all the people using a program. Every time you use, TikTok and watch a video, TikTok gets a signal. Oh, they like this one. They watched the whole way through. They watched it again. They watched it again. And so they can quite easily, without any human intervention, say, yep, make this one show up at the top. Make this be the first one everybody sees. And of course, it becomes even more successful as a result. And so a number of people have become viral sensations on TikTok. Although when TikTok really crossed the line, it wasn't that it's owned by a Chinese company. The theory there is, well, they could spy on us. But guess who's spying on you perfectly well? Every U.S. app, including most especially Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. They know everything you do. They make no bones about it. They sell it to advertisers. I don't know what information the Chinese government would get from TikTok. But let's assume they do. That's the excuse for banning TikTok. I'll tell you the real reason, I suspect. TikTokers crossed the line when it was actually a video posted by a middle-aged woman who said, the president's having a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma next month, and there's a place online to register for tickets. Let's all do it and not show up. And her video went viral. Maybe the Chinese did that on purpose, or maybe it went viral. But for whatever reason, it's thought that as many as 1 million TikTok users signed up for tickets to the Trump rally and didn't show up, which would explain why not only attendance was sparse inside, but they had a big outdoor area. They were expecting 1 million people. They were going to have a 100,000-seat outdoor area with a big screen, and the president and the vice president were going to speak, and then nobody showed up. They tore it all down real quickly. Nobody showed up. Could have been other reasons. Maybe fear of getting sick. Be a good reason. Tulsa was in the middle of a surge of coronavirus. Whatever. It was blamed on TikTok. I have a feeling, knowing the president, that had a little something to do with his decision. So what's ByteDance to do? What's a company to do? Well, they've decided, all right, president's going to order this. Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State's been saber-rattling about this for a couple of weeks now, so they saw this coming. They made a deal. They went over to those guys at Microsoft and said, how would you like to buy our U.S. operations? TikTok will continue worldwide, but the U.S. operations will be owned by Microsoft. This might be it's certainly a boon to Facebook and Instagram, who were very much threatened by TikTok. So it's good. That's good for U.S. companies. It's certainly, potentially it's good for Microsoft. We don't know what the deal is, how much money it's going to cost. It's kind of an urgent deal because TikTok is being threatened with shutdown. It would be kind of an interesting thing for Microsoft to own TikTok, wouldn't it? They've done very well with Minecraft. But as the Wall Street Journal points out, this could be a minefield for the software giant. Because moderation, right? Politics, right? Do you really want to get in this business? TikTok does make money for its owners because you can pay to be promoted on TikTok. Big brands are there. A lot of movie stars and celebrities are there. Microsoft has been moving in that direction. Remember, they acquired a video service called Mixer that was kind of to compete with Twitch and YouTube for game videos, and that failed. Whoops, they had to shut it down. Their retail stores, they had to shut those down. They do own LinkedIn, but that's really, LinkedIn is a social network for business people, for, networking. Be interesting. It's a big bet on the consumer media space, according to the Wall Street Journal. I agree. An aggressive acquisition. It's got to be billions of dollars. Microsoft has the money. Could be taking on a pretty big headache, or it could be a big windfall. We'll keep an eye out for the news, see what happens. Today might be the big day, the big announcement. I have mixed feelings about that. I don't think TikTok was a threat to national security. Although a lot of companies said you can't, Wells Fargo Bank said you can't put TikTok on your company phone. I guess that's reasonable. DOD, Department of Defense, said military folk can't have it on their phones on base. That's perfectly reasonable. But I think for the kids using TikTok, it's really going to come down to if you use TikTok, if you know TikTok, if you love TikTok, and a lot of people do. It's the fastest growing social network in the world, certainly in the U.S. How are they going to feel about this? If it continues, as before, I guess they're not going to care. But was there really a threat from TikTok is the question. There was never any evidence they were doing anything. We're going to ban everything that's made in China. We're going to have some problems in the U.S. because almost every consumer electronics project you buy, including your iPhone, is made in China right now. This could be the beginning of a very difficult transition for the U.S. By the way, don't expect Apple to start making the iPhone in the U.S. That isn't going to happen. I'm afraid it's not going to happen. They're already starting to move production. They've got a factory in India, a factory in Brazil. They'll probably start moving production to Vietnam and Taiwan and other places because all their suppliers are in China. They need to be nearby. Moving all of them would be a very difficult transition. I don't think we're going to see that. What do you think? 8888 ask Leo. That's the phone number. TikTok. The federal government is going to force them, I think, this Chinese company ByteDance, to divest TikTok in the U.S. and sell it to Microsoft. Ladies and gentlemen,
double hockey sticks.
Boys and girls, children of all ages, I give you the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. Kimmy don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kimmy.
Good morning.
Our phone angel. I introduce Kim each week because you're going to be talking to her if you call the show, 888. It's the same as 800. It's just they ran out of them. Right.
If you do 800, it probably won't get to me.
No, don't call 800. 800
it might be
is
something
wrong.
that you don't want.
8888 ask Leo. That's the phone number. And then the phone will ring with any luck if the lines aren't full, which they are.
They are.
And this angel will pick up and say, "Yeah, what do you want?"
That's angelic.
You don't say that. You're very nice, I'm sure.
No, I think I'm pretty nice.
Hello. Welcome to the Tech Guy.
Yeah, something like that.
Good. Very nice. Very nice. Who should you've been speaking to our folks?
I have been talking to the lovely Elizabeth in Rancho Mirage.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Line 3.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, Elizabeth. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi there. She must be concentrating, calling me lonely because I tell her I have no clue what you're talking about most of the time. I listen anyway.
She said lovely, not lonely. Lovely.
Well, I tell you, the two of you are two of the loveliest people in the industry. I I mean that from my heart. I love listening to you two interact, and I don't know, it's just a hoot for me. I enjoy it a lot.
Thank you. Well, we know kind of now a lot of people are at home and don't see people and stuff, so we try to be your friendly neighbors here to talk about computers.
Hey, you've always been that way, and I really enjoy the show.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I am still in the dark ages. I can't even get to San Diego, so I'll never catch up with Dr. Mom, tech-wise or even geographically. But anyway, I really have to get a phone. I've got to have a phone. I do prepaid with TracFone. And it works perfectly for me. I can text. I can take some pictures. I have an old Samsung.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
well,
that.
Except the keys are sticking, and it's really not doing the job. And plus, I get tired of being ridiculed.
Oh, I know. There's such peer pressure. What is that you're carrying?
Honey, peer pressure even in your 70s. So I was looking to the iPhone SE, the small one.
Excellent choice.
At Costco.
Excellent
Well,
choice.
I heard you talk a couple weeks ago about a new Samsung it's not as inexpensive as the iPhone SE, but less expensive than cell phones traditionally are, or smartphones. So do you have a choice between those two or have an additional suggestion?
If you listen to this show, it's just going to get confusing because I talk about every new phone that comes out, and I am one of those enthusiasts who enthuses about anything if it's new, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing for you. The only issue with the iPhone SE is the size of the screen. And I think given where you're coming from, you're going to say, this screen is huge. What are you talking about, Leo? But I would, if you can, get a sense of how it is, because inside is a modern iPhone. It has the same processor as the current iPhone, the iPhone 11, which is nice because that means you'll be able to run the latest version of the operating system, the latest applications for some years to come. So that's a good reason to buy this SE. The price is right? You like the price. I mean, given it's a smartphone, it's still kind of, these are all breathtakingly expensive, but $400 or $500 is a heck of a lot less than $1,000 or more. So I like the SE for price. You also can find deals around. We have a sponsor, Mint Mobile, for instance, that has, I think it's $15 a month for the service and $15 a month for the phone. So it ends up being $30 a month, probably comparable to your TracFone. But it's not a pay-as-you-go. It's a pay-ahead kind of thing. In other words, there are good deals out there, especially if you're going to go to a carrier.
Yeah, I'm not. I need to correct you. When I say pay-as-you-go, I mean prepaid. I'm sorry.
That's what I mean. And it's not prepaid. Oh, it is prepaid. Yeah, it's not a Go phone. Okay. So you're paying ahead just like a normal phone.
Yeah, and it probably costs me $100 a year.
That's a good price.
I buy 1,000 minutes, and it's
Perfect.
really for emergencies. I'm currently biking everywhere, doing everything I do on my bike.
Yay, Elizabeth. That's awesome.
Well,
but you do want a phone, right? What if you had a flat tire or something? You do need to be it's great to have a phone. So mostly for you, it's not data, it's phone calls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a friend that wanted to put me on his plan for $35 a month, and I said, it's not
Right.
my
Why? I don't need that.
$35? And I said, yeah, because this is
Elizabeth,
what I spend a year.
Hang on, I got to run. Scott Wilkinson's coming up. I will talk to you off the air. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sorry about that. That music comes up, I have to stop no matter what. So I think
I love his laugh.
Oh, isn't he great? He looks like, I don't know if you've seen him, but he looks like Santa Claus. So it really is.
I have to go to Tuba Christmas this year somehow, some way, by hook or by crook.
Well, they're not going to do a live one, Elizabeth. They're not. Yeah, Scott's already said he's going to do. Are you going to do a Zoom one, Scott? What are you going to do?
Hey, Leo. Yes, I'm going to do a virtual one, definitely.
So you get to go, Elizabeth, but you don't get to go. But you get to you get to hear it anyway.
That laugh, God, I love your laugh.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth.
Isn't
I so
it great?
appreciate that.
I would not hesitate.
I listen.
I would not hesitate, Elizabeth, to say get the iPhone SE. I think it's perfect for you. You'll like it better. It's faster. I think you'll like the iPhone better than Android, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, since we're at the news or whatever we are, can I ask you? A friend wants to give me his Sony computer. Never been used. His son gave it to him. He's 87. He doesn't even want to tackle it, but it's got Windows 7 on it. And I couldn't even see a word processing program on it. Doesn't mean it's not there, because you know me in the dark ages. But I'm wondering if it's sensible to take that on, buy some software for it.
I wouldn't.
Ooh.
First of all, if it has Windows 7, his son gave it to him at least 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it's already kind of superannuated, even though he's never used it. And Windows 7 is no longer being supported. It's a security hazard, so the first thing you'd have to do is upgrade it.
Right.
I wouldn't. If for you, I would get a Chromebook.
Okay, yeah, we talked about that last fall. Something you just said that I wanted to ask. Oh, the different prices on the SE. Now, is that memory, so many gigs?
Get the base model, which is 64 gigs. That's plenty. I don't think you're going to be downloading the latest hip-hop playlists onto your phone, so I think you're not going to lead a lot. 64 is a lot of storage. That's the base.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I needed to know, because I like to take some pictures, but I end up transferring them to a thumb drive and sometimes printing them up and stuff. So, I'm certainly not currently, techno-savvy like the rest of the world, but...
I think you're going to love the SE. It's $400, 64 gigs. You'll be using Apple's camera, which is 10 times better than anything you've seen. So I'm glad to hear you like to take pictures. Apple's Photos app will automatically back up to iCloud, so you don't even have to think about what you're going to do with those photos. You could also get the free Google Photos. It would back them up as well. So it's much easier than putting it on a thumb drive. The whole thing is automatic. I think your life will change, Elizabeth.
Oh, well, I'll still keep listening. I enjoy you. You have such a great voice and personality, and I told Kimmy, just the two of you, the way you interact, it's such a break from the world for me. When I say dark ages, I kind of live in I don't have air conditioning, and it's 121 today.
Man.
I haven't had television for 30 years, so
good.
I mean,
Elizabeth, you are so much better off. The stuff you see. My wife came in this morning. She said, "I can't watch anymore." I said, "I know, it's depressing. You're better off. You're in a beautiful area."
Yes.
You just enjoy nature. It's all around you. I love it that you bike everywhere. I think that sounds great.
Oh, my gosh. I so love it. I'm starting to get some shape in my legs for an old guy.
Yeah, it's really good for you. It's great.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Good.
Anyway, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Elizabeth. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for
Thank you. I wish you the same.
Thank you.
Keep laughing, Scott. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Scott has a fan.
I have a fan.
Everybody agrees your laugh is fantastic. They don't mention the big beard and the Santa Claus laugh, but he's definitely hip. Ladies and gentlemen, our home theater geek, Scott Wilkinson's here, contributor to Tech Hive and Projector Central. And hey, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks.
You have a big article about Projector Technology in the current issue of Projector Central.
Current issue.
Online. I don't know what you call it now. It's just,
today's front page, I guess you'd say.
How about that?
I mean, I'm a print jockey from way back, and so I certainly am very familiar with, the current issue. But yeah, you're right. It's at the top of the page on projectorcentral.com, and it's a giant article.
What is it about? It looks like it's about technologies.
It is. It's a technology, what we sometimes call a tech-splainer.
Yeah.
Which is explanations of technology. And Projector Central asked me to explain the different projector technologies. That is the technologies behind today's digital projectors. And there are three different technologies that are used in digital projectors, not only for home theater, but also for digital cinema, for education, for classrooms, even though their classrooms are much less populated these days, museums, theme parks.
You go to a rock concert these days.
You see projectors.
They don't bother with the big sets anymore. They don't need to. They could project absolutely lifelike backdrops and change them at the drop of a hat
That's right. That's right. And so all these applications use projectors, and there are only 3 technologies that are used in all of these applications. One is called LCD, liquid crystal display, liquid crystal diode, I guess is the original thing. LCOS, liquid crystal on silicon, and DLP, digital light processing, which is from Texas Instruments. Now, they all work roughly the same way. You have little imagers that are maybe an inch across.
Tiny little screens.
Tiny little screens, super tiny. Well, they're an inch across. But on these inch across screens are microscopic pixels.
Right.
And they form these images. So
it's like,
and then that gets projected onto the screen in a much larger picture.
It's like you've got a little TV in the projector, which it uses lenses and projects onto the screen. So really, it makes sense that the 3 technologies you talk about are actually 3 common technologies in television as well.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Well, LCOS isn't. You don't see an LCOS TV or DLP for that matter. DLP and LCOS
used to be big. DLP.
Again, but it was a projection technology.
Right.
It was a small chip that formed the image, and then a lens blew that up.
Right.
In that case, on a rear projection TV screen.
There's one other difference. If you were to watch these little teeny-weeny inch-big screens in the projector, they wouldn't look like a normal picture, would they?
No, they're monochrome. They only would have one color.
Red, green, and blue?
Well, in the projector, you have to have 3 of them. One for red, one for green, and one for blue. If you watched only one of them at a time, it would only be one color.
Interesting. Okay.
So you have to have 3 of them in a projector. And
why do they do that? Why don't they just have a full-color single screen and project that?
Well, because all video images, color video images, have to be a combination of red, green, and blue.
Right.
And maybe some other colors as well, but at least red, green, and blue. And so if you were to have a 1-inch screen that was full color, each of those microscopic pixels would actually have to have 3 subpixels, one red, one green, and one blue. That's how an LCD TV works. That's how an OLED TV works. If you get right up against an LCD or an OLED TV, I mean, like you put your nose on the glass and you look, you'll probably see, maybe even with a magnifying glass these days with 4K and 8K TVs, you might need a magnifying glass to see tiny little red, tiny little green, tiny little blue, what we call subpixels.
So by doing that inside the projector with 1-inch screens, they can get a higher resolution because...
Correct.
Get it. One's red, one's green, one's blue, and it's like having... Is it like 3 times the resolution of each individual screen?
No, it's not, because they overlap each other perfectly.
Okay.
Or at least they have to. They have to be aligned perfectly. And that's one of the problems with these 3-chip projectors. Most projectors are 3-chip. There's one exception. But those 3 images, the red image, the green image, and the blue image, have to be perfectly aligned. Or else you see color fringing in the picture.
And I've seen that in some older projectors. That was a big problem. Yeah,
it's a big problem. Exactly right. Now these days it's gotten better, and the best projectors you don't really see it. There is one exception I mentioned, and that's 1-chip or single-chip DLP. Now here's a case where a DLP projector can have only one of these little 1-inch imager chips. And how does it get red, green, and blue on the screen then? It does it sequentially. It puts the green image, the red image on the screen, then the green image, then the blue image in rapid succession. So rapid that they blend together in your brain and you see a full color image.
Is that color wheel that we talk about with?
Precisely.
Okay.
That's right. That's how they do it. They take a white light of some sort and they pass it through a spinning wheel, and the wheel has like pie wedges on it.
This is such a Rube Goldberg device in here.
I know.
But it works.
It's hilarious, but it works, and it's amazing. And that's, in fact, the basis of most low-cost DLP projectors. The ones you see in the digital cinema, like Dolby Cinema, they have 3 DLP chips in them. They're true 3-chip displays, one for red, one for green, and one for blue. But those are very expensive. We're talking 6 figures.
Yeah.
And so
is that why they're so expensive? Because
yeah, because they need these 3 chips. And they also need a lot of light. I mean, they're super bright because they have to fill up a 20, 30, 40-foot long screen.
So what's the deal with LCOS? Because that is something we don't see in television sets, only in projectors.
Used to see there were a few LCOS rear projection televisions back in the day when we had rear projection television.
But that's still projection. You don't do a direct view, I guess.
No, you can't. LCOS is what's called liquid crystal on silicon. So it's a little chip, just like an LCD chip, and the LCDs become more or less transparent and let light through them, either more light or less light, depending on the electrical current going to each pixel. But instead of the light passing directly through the chip and then onto the screen, it actually passes through the LCD, hits a mirror, and passes back through the LCD. And comes. It's like a reflective display.
Even more Rube Goldberg.
It's Rube Goldberg. However, I have to tell you that technology has the best blacks and the best contrast of any of all three of these technologies.
So if you're looking for a projector, should you say, I want LCOS?
It depends on your budget. They're typically more expensive than LCDs and one-chip DLPs. It depends on your budget. It depends on your circumstances. Do you want super bright in a room with some ambient light, or do you have a real home theater that you can darken?
Right. Now, doesn't my TV have lasers?
Yes.
I have a high-sense short-throw projector TV. It's quite expensive.
Correct. And it uses DLP technology.
Okay.
And the lasers have to do with the light source, the illumination source. And I didn't really address that issue in this article.
That is a big issue, though. And
it is.
Because these bulbs, when you replace them, are very expensive.
Very expensive. They cost hundreds of dollars typically, and they only last a year or two.
Yeah.
Whereas a laser will last you 20,000 hours.
That's why I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they keep their brightness throughout their whole lifespan.
Right.
Whereas lamps diminish in brightness over time.
So this is a great article, by the way. I highly recommend it. ProjectorCentral.com. The technologies, LCD, LCOS, and DLP that you find in common projectors, how it works. It's a tech-splainer from our mansplainer, Scott Wilkinson. It's really interesting. And when you read how it works, it's kind of mind-bogglingly complicated.
It is mind-boggling. I agree. It's like total Rube Goldberg, and yet it works.
Now I realize
beautifully
that only a certain small percentage of the audience even knows who Rube Goldberg was. So
I
have to apologize. He was a newspaper cartoonist who had these crazy machines, but I think nobody remembers anymore.
Well, I do.
Just us old timers. Yeah.
Us old farts. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you 3.5 now. Can you stay till the top?
Yep. Sure.
All right.
Can.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. So nice to see you. Mike Heiss, thanks for sending me the info to the press people at SID. I was kind of not sure if I was going to tune in, but you know what? Why not? I certainly will tune into CES. Everybody knows that CES is now all digital. So they decided not to do anything in person, which doesn't make any difference to me. I wasn't going to go anyway. And for Elizabeth, who hopefully is still listening, I just wanted to reiterate that Tuba Christmas this year will be online. It'll probably be, I don't know what platform I'm going to use yet. StreamYard, maybe, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But it'll be available to anybody. And in a way, it's kind of cool because it'll be available to anybody in the world and for free. So, it's going to be a combination of pre-recorded videos from previous concerts, including last year, where we had some professional footage done, a lot of it. I'm going to get that put into a format that we can play. But you know what? When I was going through some of my dad's old stuff, I found some videotapes of Tuba Christmases, which he recorded in the 90s. So I'm having those converted to digital, and I'll probably have a few of those on there as well. And I will intersperse that with live components, live segments with me and some of the Tuba Christmas bigwigs like Jim Self, who was the conductor of Tuba Christmas for 35 years before I was. Might hopefully have a visit by Santa. It'll be a lot of fun. And some of it will be live. And presumably I'll have a chat room. So if when I get that information, I will certainly disperse it far and wide. And Loquacious, I hope you tune in for sure. And everybody here. Look, Scott Sis is in the room. My sister, the Dude. Hey, Dude. You were a rude dude. And Loquacious, always great to see you. So yes, the Tuba Christmas. I'm looking forward to it. At the moment, I'm working on the virtual Kol Nidra, or Erev Yom Kippur, the end of the Jewish high holidays. My wife and I are the musical directors for our community for that event, and of course, that won't be live either. So we're doing that virtually as well. And so we are preparing to do that. That's at the end of September. That one won't be free because the high holidays are the biggest fundraising event of the year for Jewish synagogues and communities around the world. So that one we have to charge for. But Tuba Christmas is always free for the audience. So I will certainly let you know about that. Eric Duckman, yes, Tuba Christmas is in December. It's scheduled at the moment for December 6th, Sunday. So I will let you all know about that.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you want to talk about tech. We were talking about with Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, last segment, the Consumer Electronics Show, which weirdly, a couple of months ago, they said, yeah, we're going to still do it. This is the big gathering of 180,000 people every January in Las Vegas to see the latest consumer tech. Mostly it's people who will be selling it for the following holiday season. But a lot of journalists go, and people come from all over the world, a lot of them from China. I feel like we were fairly lucky this past January because we now know there were people at CES with COVID. Even though January, or beginning of the year, was, of course, very early on, but there were people who had it. It didn't spread too much, thank goodness, because it could have been a disaster. I was really surprised that they thought they might be having one in January. They had all sorts of rules. It's going to be smaller. They're going to have social distanced booths, all sorts of things. And now the Consumer Electronics Association has finally said, yeah, we can't do it, which is a big deal. It's a big deal because they buy hotel rooms ahead of time. Of course, they rent the facilities, and massive facilities pretty much take over Las Vegas. So for them to say at this relatively late date in August, yeah, it's going to be virtual, they've got to be taking an economic bath. It hurts Las Vegas, of course, but I think it's also realistic. They said we really didn't want to. But we realize we have to. So no CES, at least no real in-person CES this year. It'll be virtual, which is good because it means more of us can go, right? Johnny on the line from Atlanta, Georgia. Hi, Johnny. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, Johnny. Welcome.
Hey, let me tell you where I'm headed with this question because it probably sounds like a simple question, and then I'll let you know.
Nothing wrong with a simple question. Your simple host here loves them.
Okay, I am looking at adding a HD home run.
Yeah, the silicon dust.
The silicon dust OTA, right?
Yep.
DVR.
They're great. Yeah.
So I'm going to add that downstairs. I have my office is upstairs. That's downstairs. Okay, so let me tell you about my setup, and I've started doing my homework and why I'm got some concerns here. Looking at their setups, you're going to have to it looks like you're going to have to know their IP address, but there's no UI, right? It's just a device. So you're going to have to plug it into your network. All right. My network is, I have a Euro router. Okay. Yep. And I've got that plugged into a TP-Link 5-port switch.
Okay.
Okay. And then I have devices like my desktop, my NAS, my Synology NAS.
That's so you use the switch so that they can be wired because you've got
Correct.
limited wired ports on an Eero. Mostly it's Wi-Fi, but you want those wired. Does that make sense? Yep.
Correct. Okay, so what I have been trying to find out, I know I can go to devices themselves, like the Synology or my desktop, and get their IP addresses. But what about devices where it's almost hard to find? Okay, like even the TP-Link, I don't see how to get its, I don't know what its IP address is. And, they say, well, enter this default address, which is normal, but nothing comes up for me.
Only it doesn't have an address because it's just a switch. So a router would have an address. I don't think it's doing any routing. So it's just kind of a passive. It depends what it is, but it's probably just a passive device in there. You will not have any trouble finding the HD home run. You'll be able to discover. Are you going to attach other HD home runs, or how are you going to access it?
Okay, this is where I wanted to ask you if this is going to make it too complex, because going downstairs now from the TP-Link, one of the wires I have plugged into a Netgear power line here in the office. All right.
Yeah, that's just like another Ethernet.
Downstairs.
From the point of view of devices, it's using your grid, your power inside the house wiring as Ethernet. So it looks just like you've got one big Ethernet network. It's all part of the same network, in other words. It'll all have the same 192.168 base address.
Right. So that's going to plug in, like I said, downstairs, because I've already got a wire running down there through that Netgear power line, hooked up to right now I've got it hooked up to a channel master. Yeah. And, no problems. Okay, but you're saying I'm not going to have any trouble when I hook up that home run as far as getting its IP address if I need to configure it? That's what I'm worried about. How will if I need, because some of their videos I've looked at, they say, well, enter the IP address of the device. And they say, go into your router and this is how you can find out your IP address. And I'm thinking, I don't know how to find any of my wired IP addresses that don't have a UI to them.
Okay, so I'll give you a couple of answers. One, if you're using their software and their hardware, it'll do it automatically. But if you need an actual IP address, that's an easy thing to do. You go into the Eero, whatever router you're using, and there will be a table of connected devices. So you can see all the devices connected, and you can see each IP address associated with those. And in fact,
those are wireless. Those are wireless.
It should show everything. It'll show everything. It should show the wired too. Oh yeah, because you're going through a switch.
Yeah, so that's where it's getting complex. It's like
no, you're still no, because you only want, and make sure you're doing this. Only one device is doing routing, is doing the DHCP assignments, right? The switch isn't. The switch is not, unless you have some sort of active switch that's doing management, in which case it will have an IP address. Then it will get every device, no matter how it's connected, will get its IP address from the Eero. So it will be in the Eero table of attached devices.
Correct. And right. And I see, like in my Eero settings on my mobile app, that the DHCP and NAT are set to automatic. So I know it's
so again, I'll just say it's real simply because we're running out of time. You should only on any network have one device assigning IP addresses. That device will have the entire list of other devices on the network by IP address. So you can go in there and look at every connected device. If you have a switch that's assigning IP addresses, in which case it's a router, then you will have to go to that switch to look at its routing table. But I don't think that's what you're doing, and you wouldn't want to do that. You would want it to passively pass through all of the DHCP configuration stuff so that the one router, the Eero, knows everything on the network. At that point, it's trivial to go to the list of connected devices. It'll say something like HD Home Run. It might say, I can't remember what it says. It might say Silicon Dust. But you will be able to look at that table and say, oh yeah, there's my TV, and then attach to it. But honestly, you shouldn't need to do that, because Home Run does that automatically. It does automatic discovery. So when you go to my.hdhomerun.com, you'll see your HD Home Run. You won't need the manual IP address. I mean, you can find out what it is, but it will automatically see it. It's kind of how most routers work now. You could enter the router address 192.168.1.1 or whatever it is, but you can also, in most cases for most routers, I think this is even true for Eero, enter something like myeerorouter.com, I don't know what it is, and get to the router management interface. That works the same for the HD home run. You go to my.hdhomerun.com and you'll get the interface. And so you won't need to know the IP address. You could see it there, but you won't need it. That's what you want. You want kind of automatic discovery. Otherwise, this would be crazy. So the way routing works in a network, the way your little box works, your Eero or your Netgear or your Linksys, whatever you have, is you only have one public IP address. That's the one provided by the internet service provider. And if you only had one computer, you could just do that. But nowadays, we all have more than one device attached to our internet. So that's the whole point of that router that we got many years ago, is it says it takes the one address and then gives everything its local address, the routing table. And that's the key right there, is to use that. It's all yours, my friend.
I thank you. I thank you kindly. So, yeah, we've been talking in the chat room about CES and registering for the online CES. I don't remember getting a link to register yet, just a note saying, we're going virtual this year. It's going to be all virtual. Scooter X just put something in the chat room here with a link about register now. CES 2021. So maybe it is. Oh, notify me when I can register. Yeah. So sign up below and they'll notify you when you can register for CES 2021, which I'll do, although I'm sure they'll send it to me anyway. I've been going to CES close to 30 years. Probably this year would have been my 29th, I think. So it's... I know plenty of people who are going, yay, no going to Vegas, no going to CES. I was one of those strange people who actually enjoyed it. I mean, I'm glad I don't live in Vegas, but I enjoyed visiting it for the surreal environment. I mean, it's definitely surreal. Everything's really big, super bright, super colorful. I don't gamble. But I do go to shows. I've been to many of the shows on the Strip because I really like going to those shows. They're fun. The music's great usually. It's usually too loud, but I take my earplugs. And, and for me, more important than learning about the products, the new products, which we can learn online. Let's face it, we don't have to go to Vegas. What's important to me about going to Vegas for business is the FaceTime, the face-to-face time with all of my colleagues in the industry, all the journalists who live all over the world or all over the country mostly, the company representatives who I don't really get to see much at all other than, I talk them on the phone or I email or whatever, but to actually shake their hand and be in the same room and face-to-face and chatting and catching up, that's the most important part of CES for me, by far. And yet, of course, I wouldn't shake hands with anybody this year. I wouldn't even go this year because of the circumstances beyond our control. So I'm glad they decided to do it virtually. And I guess I'll see some of my friends virtually. But, actually probably not, because most companies are going to have press conferences online. And they did that before. They live streamed them. And so, I could have sat home and watched them instead of being in a room with 1,000 people, a big giant conference room, ballroom at the hotels. I could have done that. But again, I went more than anything else to see my friends in the industry face-to-face. It's the one time a year. Well, 2 times a year. CEDIA was the other one. We didn't have that this year. So, Dr. Mom Grandma, does that mean that CES Crud will be virtual also this year? I mean, we talk about it every year, right? That people go to CES and they come home with the CES Crud. I did many times. Not every time, but many times. And this year it would be far worse. And Leo was right. We now know that there were people at CES with COVID. And I'm grateful that I didn't catch it from any of them. I don't know. It probably wasn't a super spreader event because it wasn't that prevalent yet, but it was there. But people have the flu and stuff. And I used to take all kinds of precautions, like shake hands with your right hand, eat finger food with your left hand, ne'er the twain shall touch, and don't touch your face, and wash your hands often, and blah, blah, blah. I did all that. And I still got it sometimes. So hopefully we won't get the virtual crud. Chickenhead21 says, us locals avoid the strip like the plague. Yeah, really, literally. Man, the traffic on the strip, geez. When I went to CES for many years anyway, I would drive out because I live in LA and it's not that bad to drive. In fact, it's beautiful. So I would drive around Vegas, and I have come to know Vegas streets pretty well, at least around the places where the convention center is. Vegas is very spread out. It's really big. And so I don't know all of it by any means, but I know, sort of the general vicinity around the strip, at the convention center, and I knew my routes around the worst traffic, and it gets really bad. CJ is asking another question here. Do I believe we'll see anything beyond 8K technology? I don't believe the human eye can see beyond that. It'll be more a novelty, perhaps. Yeah, the human eye can't even see all the detail in 8K. Can't even see all the detail in 4K at a normal distance, at a normal seating distance. So there's no point in going beyond 8K, but they will. Of course they will. They have to have a higher number to sell new product. That's the big problem. They always have to have a bigger number. And so they will. And the Sue the writer, yes, I won't get to see you as I have in the past. You haven't been there in a few days. In a few years, rather. But it's always was great to see you there. That was one of the reasons I went, was to see folks like you in person. Soaring Dancer, thanks for Tuba Christmas 2020. Well, I'm going to do my best to do something for Tuba Christmas 2020. Eric Duckman, exactly right. 16 is greater than 8. It's simple math. Therefore, they will do 16K and 32K and 64K. I mean, it's not going to make any difference to the human visual system, but they're going to do it anyway because they can. And that's about it. So I think I've mentioned my sister's in the chat room. Hey, sis. She never goes to CES and probably glad to not be going to CES. So. Oh, yes. There's a Tuba Man in the chat room. Tuba Man, show yourself. We thought that might be a friend of ours who my sister told about being live and being in the chat room and stuff like that. And I thought they might log on, but we thought that might be them. But it's not. It's somebody else. Glad to have you aboard. Always glad to meet another tuba enthusiast. So let's see. Yes, the Sue the Rider beats the crap out of walking from the lot, whatever, to the convention center and cold rain and wind. Yeah, there's an awful lot of walking. I put 25, 26 miles on my pedometer every year at that show. Absolutely. Yes, my sister's so glad not to be going to CES. Too crowded. Yeah, a lot of people don't like those crowds. I don't mind them. My wife, who's a foot shorter than me, hates crowds because she can never, she always feels boxed in. She can't see over it.
All right, Scott, thank you. Have a great week.
My pleasure.
Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones, your smart watches, whatever you want to talk about. If it's got a chip in it, let's talk about it. What do you say? 8888 Ask Leo. Your tale of woe, tell it here. 888-827-5792. 5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Still can reach us outside that area. Just use Skype out or something that can call a phone in the U.S., and that'll work for you. Should be toll free even. Website, techguylabs.com. I mentioned that because that's the place to go. If you hear something on the show, you want to write it down, you want to remember it, you don't have to. James DeRuvo, our scribe, writes it all as we go and puts it up there. And that's free. There's no sign up. There's no newsletter. I'm terrible at monetizing. I just put it there for you. That's it. techguylabs.com. Jose, Modesto, California is next. Hi, Jose.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
I want to pick your mind. I have a Windows Surface Pro and in a build PC, and on the build PC that I have, it's already upgraded to the latest Windows 10 2004.
Yeah, isn't that weird? The Surfaces are not getting upgraded right now.
Okay, that's
Microsoft's own hardware. This is the strangest thing. So to give people a little background, Microsoft twice a year now puts out a feature update. This is not a bug fix. This is not for security. It adds new features. This is the last time they're going to do it. But up until now, they've been naming them with the year and the month. So the last one was 1909. So it was September 2019. The current one is 2004. It didn't come out till June, but it's 2004, April 2020. They have now decided, you'll be glad to know, Jose, not to use that technique to name them. The next one will be 20H2 for the second half of 2020. That's a little bit of an improvement. I guess they didn't really want people to say Windows 10 2009. That would have just sounded too weird. But what they do is they do a staggered rollout, and if they know of problems, they won't offer it to you. There are ways to force it, but I would not recommend forcing it. I would wait until Microsoft, you'll see a pop-up that says there's an update. I honestly, these days, it's even a mistake to go to the Windows Update control panel and ask. And I'll tell you why. When you do that, Microsoft names you, gives you a name. You're now a seeker. This is the term they use, a seeker, because you're seeking the updates. And you're more likely to get the updates if you do that. In this case, you will not get 2004. For reasons I don't understand, you'd think in their testing, the first thing they would have tested is all of their own hardware and make sure it works so that those people can get it first. Apparently, people with Surface hardware are getting it last. So it's inexplicable. I wish I could explain it, Jose, but there's nothing you're doing wrong. I wouldn't force it. Is there a feature in 2004 on your home-built PC that you love, that you really want on your Surface?
No, I don't.
No, of course not.
I'm not a seeker like yourself.
No, and there's nothing on there. Yeah, what are you going to do with it? There's nothing. It's like minor, slight difference in the menus, in the way coloring, and who cares? In fact, people who use Windows, including my friends, the hosts of our Windows show, Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, are saying, Microsoft, knock it off. You don't need to do this twice a year. In fact, I wouldn't even do it once a year, maybe every couple of years, because A, you're not giving anybody anything, and B, inevitably, these updates are causing problems. Maybe not universally, but we're hearing lots of issues. Clearly, there's an issue with the Surface, or it would be pushing it to you. Mary Jo has a Surface, the laptop, the new Surface Laptop 3, and she doesn't have it either. And as far as I know, nobody with Surface hardware is getting it yet. Isn't that weird? Okay. So keep doing the critical updates. As you know, Patch Tuesday, sometimes they're out of cycle. They give you updates out of band. Always do those. Those are important, and you'll get pushed those. In fact, I think it's okay to seek that. I think the second Tuesday of the month, it's fine to go to Windows Update and say, give it to me, because you really want those as quickly as possible. They fix known problems that the bad guys are going to exploit the minute they can figure them out. So those are worth patching. There's nothing in these feature updates, 1903, 1909, 2004, 20H2. There's nothing in them that you have to have. As you know, you've got it on one machine. Is it different? Not really. Why take the problem? Don't worry about it. There's nothing to worry about. You're not getting it because nobody who has a Surface is getting it. Weirdly enough, unaccountably. It's very strange. I don't get it. I really don't. Tom in San Diego, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Tom.
Good afternoon, Leo. How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Hey, I've got a box load of photographs that I think it's about time I try to figure out some way to get them into the digital realm. And I was wondering if you have any suggestions. I've heard there's some pretty good scanners that make it pretty quick and easy and things like that.
And it's never going to be quick and easy if you're doing it yourself, because even, the one I would recommend, the Epson Fast Photo, which in theory could do 1 a second, even then, has a sheet feed, so most of them will work fine, but you'll have problems. Actually, that would be the only way you might do it yourself, because it has a sheet feed. Most of the other ones, including many of the other Epsons, you put in one picture at a time, close the lid.
Yeah, that I'm not ready for.
No. Yeah. The Fast Photo is at least, but that's $600. It's a very expensive device. The other way you could do it, if you really wanted to do it yourself, I think is the best way to do it. If you've got a decent camera, it doesn't have to be great, but a 12 megapixel or better camera, just set up an easel, some lighting, a tripod. And the only reason you do the easel and tripod is so that you don't have to mess with positioning it. And then put a picture on the easel, snap the picture, put another one, snap the picture. That's just about as fast. And modern cameras are so high resolution, they're going to do a very good job of it. Otherwise, I would send it to a service bureau, Scan Cafe or someone. Scan Cafe will send you a box, a shoe box, which is probably something like those pictures are stored in right now. You stuff as many as you can, and you mail it back to them, and they send you back a DVD. Or they put it online for you. There's a lot of services like that. And those generally, I don't know, they're usually under 10 cents a photo. It depends on how much time you want to spend doing it and so forth.
Well, that you answered my question. I thought it might be a simple process, but it sounds like not. So
no, the simplest is the Epson Fast Photo. They used to be a sponsor. I think they make great stuff. That one will do it, but it's expensive. It's $600. It'd probably be cheaper to send it to Scan Cafe, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. And same. So I have a bunch of compact VHS tapes that I have.
Same thing.
Same thing. Send that out also.
Yep. In fact, I have a box in my office. I keep meaning of VHS tapes. I would really love this. Kids in performances when they're in 4th grade, stuff like that. I would really love to get. Just send them off. Same thing. They'll scan it all for you. Because these companies, they keep the VCRs. They keep all of the, do you have a high, what was it, a high 8? Do you have anything that could play that back? And even if you did, then you have to connect it to your computer.
Right. The camera that I had that I thought I was going to use, it doesn't work anymore.
No, of course not. Right. So that's their business, is keeping all those things working so that they can do it. And in many cases, they have very fast systems that do it. Costco has a scanning service. In fact, sometimes people will.
Speaking of Costco, is that would you recommend or not recommend Costco?
Yeah, sure. No, that's fine.
Okay.
The nice thing about Costco is you're not mailing it. So sometimes people go, I'm not mailing those pictures. If I lose them, that's the only copy. That's completely reasonable. With Costco, you just bring it in.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
I saved you about 1,000 hours. some lost hair.
You gave me a big chunk of my life back.
There you go. It's only worth doing if you're retired or you're out of work right now. Maybe you got some free time. Maybe then. But I think you'll soon tire of it. I've done it. I've done it with my daughter is an artist, and so she wants good quality photos of all of her art. And you can't really send those in. And so I've done it, and it's just a pain in the butt. Even one by one, it's just, even with a camera, it's just a pain. So, yeah, unless you're you got a lot of time on your hands, nothing much else to do, and a few of us are in that situation. Our show today brought to you by, and I mean literally brought to you by, CacheFly. When you listen to any of our TWiT podcasts, including the Tech Guy Show, you're downloading it from CacheFly. CacheFly is a CDN, a content delivery network. And they are the best. We've been very happy with them. We deliver petabytes of data, more than 1 million downloads a week. through CashFly, and not once have I ever gotten the call, oh, the server's down, we can't get online. It's amazing. It's really kind of a miracle. Now CashFly has something even better to help you with the costs of a CDN. They call it 100% Cache Shield, and it eliminates going off network for cache misses. The way a cache works is when we put out a podcast, when CashFly gets the request for the show, they download it from our S3 store. Actually, we put it on CashFly. We use Cache Shield. But normal people, they would download it, and so that's going to be an interruption while they download it, plus additional cost as they take it from S3 or wherever you store the original content, right? And then they cache it out to that server. With 100% Cache Shield, you buy space on CashFly. That's what we use. And that way, automatically, when there's a new show or you get a cache miss, instead of pulling it across the network from some other source, it gets it from CashFly. That means it's faster. That means it's instantaneous, and it reduces your costs. No more buffering. I have to say, 100% Cache Shield is an amazing benefit. Drastic reduction in data transfer fees with AWS's S3 or other cloud storage origins, and a cache hit ratio of 100%. I just can give you so many reasons why, if you deliver content, whether it's an app, video streaming, games, or podcasts, you should be using CashFly. CashFly's global throughput performance dominance, servers all over the world, ensures any cache misses are delivered 5 times faster than your origins. No more buffering, no more waiting. And you probably as a listener aren't aware of it, but you would be if we weren't using CashFly, because you get it right away. If you go to our website and start watching or listening to a show, if you use your podcast application to download the show, you're getting it from CashFly. You're getting it without delays, without hitches, without buffering. And it's that kind of no-brainer, just works all the time, every time for 10 years that makes it worthwhile. You'll save money, too, up to 20% over your other CDNs, and it's a lot faster than a non-CDN solution. That's why we've been using CashFly forever. We use the 100% Cache Shield. You should, too. CashFly is giving away a complimentary detailed analysis of your current CDN bill and usage trends. You can see how much you'd save. No pressure, no high-pressure sales. They're just great people. Go to twit.cashfly.com. twit.cashfly.com. And as you hear, or used to anyway, at the beginning of every podcast, it's still true today, bandwidth for the Tech Guy Show is brought to you by CashFly at twit.cashfly.com. Thank you, CashFly. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888, ask Leo, busted. They got the kid, allegedly the mastermind behind the Twitter hack. Remember a couple of weeks ago, some of the best-known accounts, the biggest accounts, in fact, the biggest account on Twitter, Barack Obama's, Joe Biden's, Elon Musk's, Bill Gates' accounts were all hacked, posted spam about, send me Bitcoin, I'll send it double back, which apparently a number of people fell for. A Tampa teenager has been arrested, 17-year-old, 30 felony charges for scamming people. He's facing 1 count of organized fraud, 17 counts of communications fraud, 1 count of fraudulent use of personal information with over $100,000 or 30 or more victims, 10 counts of fraudulent use of personal information, 1 count of access to computer or electronic device without authority. Turns out, according to Twitter, he social engineered a number of Twitter employees over the phone. Again, all of this, I got to say, is alleged, is pieced together. We won't know until the trial exactly what the feds have, et cetera, et cetera. But this is what we believe happened. He would call up Twitter employees and say, hey, yeah, this is Joe over in security. We seem to have a problem with a breach in your account. Can you give me the login for your account just so I could check? And, things like that. 17-year-old making his voice low. Hi. Actually, at a company like Twitter, probably the security guy sounds like, "Hey, it's Joe over in security. We got a little problem. Can you send me your credentials?" Yeah, sure. Gee, oh boy, I hope you can figure this out. Oh, we do too. Thanks. We think the New York Times says that the credentials he asked for were the Slack account logins, and then apparently in the Slack account was posted the login credentials for what I call God Mode, the Twitter tool that lets any Twitter employee, and apparently over 1,000 employees had access to this tool. So that's problem number one, that would let you go to any account, see everything they've done, including their private messages, even log in as a user of that account, change the password, post a tweet, whatever. God Mode. You can do anything. Apparently 1,000 employees had access to this, according to a number of former Twitter employees. Is very common. So this kid, I won't say his name because he's a minor, and he's just accused. He's not been convicted. Did this. Now, two other co-conspirators have also been indicted. One grown up in his 20s. I don't know if they've been arrested yet. A 22-year-old from Orlando and a 19-year-old from the United Kingdom. And then this kid from Tampa, Florida, who has been arrested. That was fast. But it's good. I don't say this to punish. In fact, notice I'm not saying their names. Punish these guys in the court of public opinion. That's not my goal. My goal is to send the word out to other 17-year-olds who think, "Oh, this is fun. I don't know. We couldn't get in trouble for this. I'm a minor." Mm-hmm. Just be aware. They take this stuff. FBI takes this stuff fairly seriously. And these are felonies. And yeah, maybe he's a 17-year-old. My guess is he's being treated as an adult at this point. Because those are some pretty heavy 30 felony charges. Those are some pretty heavy charges. He was the mastermind. Yeah. That really brings home that the issue is not really these kids. It's that they could do this. That Twitter had such lax security, such poor training of their employees, such widespread access to a tool that should really be very limited, that it's Twitter's fault. Twitter should be up there on the stand as much as anybody. Sure, these kids figured out a way around it, but they're kids. How good is your security if a 17-year-old can call up and say, "Hey, can you give me your password?" Please. Oh, please. I am not one of these so-called OG accounts. These are the original gangster accounts that are the ones that these kids want. They want the accounts with very short usernames like @6 or @Y. That's short. I joined Twitter in the first few months. I first joined Twitter, I think, in October or November 2006 when it first started. Because, I keep an eye on these things and I join everything. But even then, I did not make myself @Leo, which would have made me at risk, that really short name, @Leo. I decided it'd be better to use my whole name. So I'm @Leo Laporte on Twitter. And for a while, I'm proud to say, in the first year or so of Twitter, I had the most followers, a whole 5,000 followers. Then the celebrities arrived, starting with Ashton Kutcher. Okay, maybe not an A-list, but And by that time, it didn't matter if you were a geek. You were not. So I think I have 500,000 plus followers on Twitter. Most of them, I'm sure, are bots or inactive accounts going way back. But I don't care. My team says, "That's a lot. You have more than anybody here. You should use it. I think Twitter's stupid." So as soon as this hack happened, I thought, well, I don't want to be tweeting out Bitcoin scams. So I made my account private. Now that I know the story, that wouldn't have mattered. They could have made it unprivate. They could have tweeted anything they wanted. If they had God mode, they could do anything. But I just, I don't want anybody to think I use Twitter. I'll keep it because nobody, my staff says, you can't throw that away. But it's not, I don't think it's that important. Do you? 8888 Ask Leo. Still waiting for the other shoe to drop for President Trump to announce that Tick Tock will be banned in the U.S. He said he'd do it today, maybe. Maybe, possibly. Probably he'll tweet it, right? 8888 Ask Leo. More calls right after this. More calls is more than no calls. A call would be more than no calls. I got people on the line, but I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about Twitter. I want to do my impression of a 17-year-old. By the way, my stepson, who is 17, has a voice like this. He could have fooled anybody. Hey, this is Michael calling from Twitter Security. He doesn't sound like that. I sounded like that, maybe. My friends, it's time once again to talk travel with Johnny Jet, our travel guru. He's at johnnyjet.com. His podcast is at johnnyjet.com/podcast. He's got a great YouTube series of 39 questions of travel experts. He joins us every week. Hello, Johnny.
Hello, Leo. How you doing?
Great. How's life in the Jet household?
It's good. I've been watching baseball this week.
I see you. You're New York
next week.
You're New York Yankees cap. Are you a Yankees fan?
Big time.
Why
I grew
aren't
up
you
in Southern Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Because you live in Dodgers country.
I like the Dodgers. They're my number 2 team. But if the Yankees were playing them, I would be going for the Yankees for sure. But yeah, I just don't
hate them
both.
You didn't ask, but I hate them both.
Well, you're a Giant fan.
I was a Red Sox fan growing up. Hate the Yankees, right? Because they took Babe Ruth, our great pitcher, Babe Ruth, turned him into a hitter. Jeez. And then, of course, as a Giants fan, whenever we would go to the Polo Grounds, we would watch us beat up on the Yeah, for some reason the Dodgers are our natural rivals, and the Yankees are the Red Sox natural rivals. So
for sure. I mean,
I don't hate anybody. Are you enjoying baseball now, though?
I am.
Yeah.
I really am. But I think I watch every game like it's Game 7 of the World Series because I think it's just going to either be
with only
called
60 games. They're all
hiatus.
Everything's going to count.
Well, not just that. Players keep testing positive, so it's not going to last long. They're not in a bubble. I think the NBA might work because they're in a bubble, but I don't think baseball is going to last. I don't think it's going to last this week, to tell you the truth.
It's not looking good. Not just the Marlins now. Other teams are starting to
the Cardinals
test positive.
It's not good. But I do like to watch it because it gets me off Twitter, gets me off, raging.
Well, the funny thing about baseball, it never was about the fans as much. It was just about the game. Because it's such a slow game, there's not a lot of. It doesn't seem that different. The NBA in an empty stadium might seem a little bit different. The NHL might seem a little different.
One of the fun things about travel, every year I would go to a different ballpark to see the Yankees with my best friend.
I know.
So we travel around and check out.
So much fun to do that.
Yeah.
When I retire, I've been to many major league ballparks, same reason. But when I retire, Lisa and I want to go to all the NFL stadiums. It'll be nice because there won't be anybody there, so it'll be.
NFL's not going to happen this year either, too. I just don't see it.
I wonder how.
But, I mean, listen, I thought I got COVID this week, actually. I went to and I've been very careful, but I kept my doctor's appointment for my annual physical like a fool. Because, that 9 o'clock appointment is tough to give up because you don't want to have to do the 1 o'clock and fast all day.
Plus, they're worse. You could, it's important. You could have some other disease, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, my doctor's a good friend of mine, and so we end up talking for 30 minutes in the room, and I'm like,
big mistake. Was he wearing a mask?
Yeah, for sure. But
and you
2
were
days
wearing a
later,
mask.
I started feeling symptoms, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was having a hard time breathing, difficult time breathing. Anyway, so I called him because I have a history of asthma. He tested me for COVID, and
did you get the one?
I got it within 19 hours because I went through him. If I went through, I tried to go all these other clinics, and it was like impossible.
It's a week in many cases around here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I mean,
and you got the phaso-laryngeal, the way up in the deep and the all the way down. Oof.
Yeah.
How was that? Was that painful?
Uncomfortable. It's not a big deal. It's uncomfortable, but nothing bad at all. I mean, I mean, these guys are doing it every day. Some of these players. So
yeah.
But speaking of COVID, I know you're a big cruiser, and did you see that the
Hurtigruten back?
Yeah, Hurtigruten.
I've been on the Hurtigruten.
I know. Well, this is the new ship, which I have not been on. I've been on Hurtigruten before. This is Norway-based. It's beautiful, but 4 crew members just tested positive, and if passengers test positive, then I mean the cruise industry is screwed until they find a vaccine or something.
It makes me so sad. I really love to travel. We had a cruise booked for January, which isn't going to happen. And I'm very sad because I was really looking forward to this trip. But, you know, I don't want to get sick either. And we're all going to buck it up for a couple, you know, a little while longer, maybe another year. And
we will.
Yeah.
But Royal Caribbean, which I know you've taken their cruises before. I don't think you liked them, but
they're just too big for me. I think they're fine, but they were just too big. I like smaller.
They came out with a new safety drill. So now it's called E-Muster 2.0. So instead of having everyone gather up before the ship departs
to wear your life preserver, learn where your muster stage, where your lifeboat is,
you're now going to do it either on your app or in the cabin on the TV, and then you're going to check with your muster station.
What kind of fun? What kind of fun would this be to go on a cruise and you have to stay in your cabin? You have to. That's no fun.
No, that's just for the. They just don't want to gather everyone in the same room. Remember, before they couldn't even find a seat. People would be sitting on the edges of chairs or
That's a good
couches.
Point. Yep, that's a good point.
So they're
still going to gather together for meals. They're still going to get. I mean, I
totally, but they'll space it out. They'll probably have seatings.
Is Vegas? Are the casinos still open?
Yeah, they are for sure.
And that's worked all right, right?
But they're making it mandatory for masks. When they first opened, it was only suggested, and no one did it. So now they made it mandatory.
Yeah.
And I mean,
masks work. I know people think they don't. I know some people think masks give you the virus. They don't. Masks work, and that's
everyone should wear a mask and see how it goes for 6 weeks. If everyone wore a mask and it doesn't work, then we know.
Yeah, let's try that.
I mean, listen to the experts.
Let's try that for a change. I call my mask and my goggles, I call them my Faucis. Oh, time to put on my Fauci.
Yeah. Well. So Florida, by the way, is about to get a hurricane. My family's down there. My sister, my dad. I like the goggles.
How's your sister, by the way? Is she better?
Yeah, she's much better.
She got it.
She still actually has a little bit of effects from it. But,
yeah. Well, that may go on for a while. Yeah.
But my app today is for people on the East Coast because this hurricane
season.
Yep. So Max Tracker. This is what Floridians use. I learned about it in Barbados a couple years ago when a big storm was about to hit. One of my colleagues from Miami was like, "You got to download this app." I mentioned it right after that trip here, but since since we're back and it's been 2 years, I thought I'd bring it up again because it's a great app. It's free, Android, iOS, and it will tell you exactly everything you need to know about the hurricane, and you need to watch this one. And this is going to be a really busy season, they say. I mean, it's August 1st, which is, first of all, difficult to believe it's already August. But, I mean, early August for having a major hurricane, they're predicting a really active one. It doesn't end till November 30th officially.
Just what we need.
I mean, just what 2020 needs.
Did we do something to piss off Mother Nature?
We did. Yeah, I think we did. I'm not even going to say what it is, but we did piss them off.
I think she's not happy with us. Like she's spanking us.
Yeah. Well, most of the world's not happy with us. And actually, even some of the states aren't happy with us. Alaska now is going to make it tougher to get in starting August 11th. So
really?
We have a trip plan there.
But Hawaii had that, and they're starting to see a surge.
For sure. Well, they pulled back. They were gonna open up August 1st,
and now they're getting a surge.
So now I think it's September 1st or August 31st. Everyone's going to need to have a COVID test within 3 days, but that's difficult to get these days unless you go to a private doctor like I did and pay big money.
How much was your test?
I don't even know yet, but
when you get the bill, you'll know. Huh?
No, but it could be $300, which I'm not going to be happy about.
Max Tracker, iOS and Android, I think. Yes.
Yes.
And that is a free hurricane app. If you're in the hurricane area, you know that. You listen to the radio, you pay, but still, it's nice to have an app that goes, "Hey, here it comes."
And it shows you all the latest radars. It was founded by a guy who started the National Hurricane, what is it called? Organization.
Nice. Johnny Jet.
Also, by the way,
yes.
Speaking of Alaska and Canada, a lot of Americans were trying to go to Banff National Park and things like that by saying they're driving to Alaska. But now when you drive through the border, they're going to put a tag on your car.
The Canadians wised up. JohnnyJet.com, that's the website. He is keeping up on travel, and at the minute it opens up, he and I are hitting the road. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I miss travel, I'll tell you. That's the only thing I miss. Travel and going out to eat.
Yeah, so you haven't gone out to eat?
No, we get
outdoors.
We get takeout. No, because everybody takes off their mask, and it's also become, at least when I go walking around downtown, it looks like it's a social event. People table hop, and it just doesn't look. I mean, it is outdoors, so I guess it's okay. But I get takeout. That's fine.
Yeah, I haven't gone out to eat either. I mean, I get takeout once in a while, but I've been very careful. So I was really worried that I was like, man, I made that one stupid mistake. But
I had a dental cleaning last week, and I decided not to do it.
Yeah, I'm not doing.
I thought that's not urgent, but I do. My annual is in August, my physical, and I don't know. I mean, I'm feeling fine. I think I could put it off a year.
Well, no one knows. So they really should do it outside. They should move the offices outside and just go in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
Especially when they tell you to put your elbows on the table.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you want to do that outdoors. Yeah, they see. I haven't. Yeah,
yeah. You're like, how's about those Yankees?
Yeah. Hi, Doc. Well, you're friends with. I love my doctor. He's a really great guy, and I don't know. I'll send him an email saying, "Hey, what do you think?"
Yeah. My doctor's. He is he's a doctor for one of the big sports teams here.
Oh, neat.
So
that's
I got
nice.
a great doctor.
Yeah. So, but you're on a health plan of some kind, yes?
Yeah, of course. I have health insurance, but these days
you pay you buy your own health insurance.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you have to. You don't have a job.
Yep.
You don't have any employer to do it. That's really, we're starting to realize that's a tough thing to have employment-based health care because so many people are out of work.
Right.
Such a problem.
It's gonna be. It's a scary time, honestly. The IATA, which is the airline industry, they just now said it's not going to be 2023. It's going to be 2024. They're predicting for recovery.
Yikes!
So I mean, I might have to pivot. I might be doing a food show.
What would you do if you didn't do travel?
I mean, listen, travel's in my bones.
I know.
I live and breathe it. I love it. But
you're finding good ways to stay relevant. I think you'll be all right.
For sure, I am right now.
Yeah.
And I think I can. It's just difficult to make money these days.
Yeah.
No one's buying. No one's buying travel. So, and I cannot promote it. I will not promote, especially international travel. I'll promote local travel, staycations and things like that. But I'm not going to put money over safety. So.
Johnny, stay safe.
Right,
big hugs to you and the fam.
You too.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you, buddy.
You could do baseball play-by-play. Somebody said you'd be a good play-by-play announcer.
I would love that. I love sports, especially baseball.
Baseball's such a great sport. I used to be a fan, but I lost some of my fervor after the strike.
Yeah, me too.
And now this, I wonder. Boy.
Same thing with the NHL. I was a big hockey fan, and when they striked, I stopped. And
I kind of I didn't stop completely with baseball, but really slowed down. I was going to 40 games a year.
100% baseball. I'm a big Yankee fan. I love watching Aaron Judge and these guys. It's just they have an amazing team. They're fun to watch. It's like an all-star game.
Because Lisa's such an NFL fan, and we're an NFL family now. But I don't think there's going to be a season.
I've lived for the Giants. I love them.
I don't see how there could be a season. I really don't. All right, Johnny.
Take care.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Esther's on the line from Central Valley. Hello, Esther.
Leo, I I'm delighted to talk with you.
Esther, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, and I have thought about calling so many times over the years. I learn something new from you every week, which is wonderful.
Well, good.
Especially these days when I feel like I've just grown out of any technical knowledge at all.
It's hard to keep up, isn't it? It's a full-time job for me, that's for sure.
Well, I'm glad it's yours because you do it very well. But I was calling today to see if you had any comment on the Yahoo mobile service that is being advertised now.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's Verizon and Yahoo's owned by Verizon. So if you really just say Verizon, it's a Verizon mobile. In fact, I think, Verizon has a number of kind of new ways to package their service. Visible is the other one that they're doing. The future of phone service, they call it. And it's similar to the Yahoo service. I have essentially what Verizon's trying to do at this point is kind of get some of their money back for buying Yahoo. And Yahoo still has a brand, It's got that purple Yahoo with the exclamation mark. It's fun and everything. You're getting Verizon service. So if Verizon's good where you are, it's probably, what it probably is a good way to get Verizon service for less.
Okay.
There may be, it's $40 a month, unlimited text and talk. And then you're going to pay for data, I guess, in some way.
Well, the reason why I'm asking the question today is because, that old saying about no good deed goes unpunished.
Uh-oh.
That's how I feel as an AT&T Shell customer for many years.
Yeah.
And no matter how many ways I ask or how many times I look at the website, there's nothing really they're offering that will help me reduce my costs. And so I'm at the point now.
Well, $40 is a good deal. Actually, it looks like it's unlimited data as well. So I'm looking at the asterisk.
Okay.
Because there is an asterisk. And I think what often happens with these plans, yes, this is the asterisk. In times of traffic, whatever that means, your data may be temporarily slower than other traffic. What that really means is full pay Verizon customers are going to get prioritized. So if you happen to be somewhere where a lot of people are gathered using Verizon, you may get slower service. In my experience, that's probably not going to be a problem, especially nowadays, right? No big gatherings going on. Do you know what kind of service Verizon gets in the Central Valley?
I don't. I'm actually in a little town that the big AT&T is the big name in town. But I'll give you a little background on that. Where I am, the UVerse service is not available yet. I'm still on DSL.
Yeah, because the people are spread out too much. They'll never offer. They don't. It's too expensive for them to trench in the additional fiber that they'd need to support you. So you're in a more rural area, you're less likely to get it.
Okay, although they keep saying it's coming.
Oh, I know. I don't. Does anybody trust these big mobile phone companies? Nobody. They're terrible.
No.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
So I don't think Verizon's more terrible than AT&T or vice versa. They're all equally kind of. It's hard. The problem is they make it very hard to shop around, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you can go and say, well, what would T-Mobile charge me for the same thing? You can't. So what you need to find out, and I just don't know, is who's the best carrier in where you go, home, office, wherever it is you go, who has the most reliable service. And sometimes you can see that by going online and looking. There are places that give coverage maps. Don't go to the carrier. Their coverage map's a lie. But you can go to. There are people who rate carriers and things like that. I'll give you a couple of those. And then, honestly, the best thing is if you can is ask neighbors and friends who are on Verizon. How do you like it? Yeah. My wife, I tried to get her on T-Mobile because it's the most affordable here, but the coverage in our Northern California area is not as good she missed Verizon, even though it's much more expensive. She insisted on going back to Verizon. In many areas, Verizon is the best coverage in many areas. But
one of my big considerations is, especially under this, kind of quarantine thing that we're under, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. So really, it's how it is at home.
Retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any work, I'm at home, and
the nice thing about this, unlike Verizon, it's month to month.
Yeah.
So you're not locked in. If you do, when you go back to work and it's not, or you're going somewhere, you're traveling, whatever, if it's not working. That's the other knock on Verizon is it's not great internationally. You have to have an international phone.
Oh, no, I'm not going anywhere.
But we ain't going nowhere, right?
No, not at all. And
So,
I'm thinking, if we're under these conditions for another year, say, I can always come back to AT&T
exactly.
if I have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wish there were like a chart you could say, well, let me compare these. There really isn't.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the negatives is because you're on a secondary Verizon service, you're not going to be prioritized if there's a lot of other Verizon customers using your cell.
Okay.
They get priority service. They offer free hotspot, which is nice, but they limit that to 5 megabits, which is not very fast. But that's okay. That's not the end of the world. I think it's worth trying. The other one that you could try, if you're very data focused, Verizon also offers something called visible.com. Mm-hmm. But that's for people who are more, that's also $40 a month. This is why it's kind of confusing. Mm-hmm. My sense of it is it's for people who use data more than phone calling.
Okay.
So look at visible.com. That's be the same as Yahoo Mobile, I think, because it's both from Verizon.
Okay.
So that's one way you can compare. And then for coverage maps, don't trust the carriers because they have an incentive to kind of misstate it or overstate it. Best thing to do is ask people you know in your area.
Okay.
But there's also a site called OpenSignal that does crowdsourced coverage maps, opensignal.com. And they're at least a little bit more reliable than going to the carriers for their coverage maps. So,
does AT&T have a similar thing?
Yeah, the OpenSignal rates all 4 of the big carriers.
Okay.
So if you go to opensignal.com, does AT&T have a similar thing to Yahoo Mobile? Yes.
Yes.
They do. So they have their own, and then they also do something reselling called, there's something called Mobile Virtual Network Operators, MVNOs. And there are quite a few. Straight Talk at Walmart resells AT&T. A lot of companies resell AT&T for less. So that's another thing. Is you say that because you know that the AT&T coverage is really good where you are? That's what you've been using? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not complaining about my coverage. I can't get the.
Well, you will if you go to a carrier that doesn't have good coverage. You will be very unhappy.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's important. AT&T, like all of them now, has kind of a low-cost flavor. I can't remember what they call it. And then they resell to Cricket and they sell Straight Talk. There are other companies that use AT&Ts. So you can get – Cricket's probably the biggest. And they will be a lot less. And there will be the same caveat, which is, well, if there's real AT&T customers on this network, you're going to get lower performance. But I've never seen that to be a real problem, to be honest.
Okay. And then finally, on the Yahoo Mobile, they're also advertising like a service for tech support.
Yes. I think they're using Visible's tech support.
Okay. Is that a reliable thing? Or?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've not used it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's part of that aging out of tech thing that I'm going through, and I'm just trying to sort of put my life back together in that respect. And
boy, I feel
some of these decisions.
I feel for you. Listen to this show. I'm your best, most independent support person there is out there. I haven't used theirs, so maybe if somebody knows, they can call. It's so hard. They do this. I almost think they do this on purpose. They obfuscate it so that you can't really compare apples to apples. You just can't. So, are you still there, Esther? Oh, she hung up. This is really a tough one because it's not easy to comparison shop. First, you have to figure out who has the best signal in your area. That's more important than anything. And nobody's great everywhere. Even the Verizon ads, can you hear me now, and all that. Nobody's great everywhere. So you first have to figure out who has the best signal in your area. Open signal's a good start. Asking your neighbors is even better. Do you get dropout? Do you lose calls? Is your data consistently high speed? All of that. It's very hard. Then once you figure out who the best carriers are, then you can shop around. But because there are a lot of ways to get the same service from MVNOs, from the company. And now really interesting what Yahoo's doing. Not Yahoo, Verizon's doing. Because I don't think Yahoo Mobile or Visible count as an MVNO. They're company run. So they're just offering other kinds of service. It's very confusing. It's very very difficult for anybody to figure it out. Our show today brought to you by LastPass, the Tech Guy podcast. Everything we do, we're even in the LastPass studios here at TWiT. I am a huge fan. Been using LastPass for 12 years. Steve Gibson, it's kind of amazing. It was 10 years ago that Steve Gibson did his review of LastPass. He ended up starting to use it. He still uses it to this day. But LastPass has come a long way in those years, from being the best password manager out there to really being the best way for your company to secure those endpoints, those employees who are at home. When LastPass surveyed global IT decision makers just a little while ago, 96% of organizations said their remote workforce has impacted their identity and access management strategy. Of course it has. You have employees now at their house on sketchy networks trying to access your most important assets, your databases, your bank accounts, your websites. How can you manage identities and promote good security behaviors with remote employees? Well, LastPass. Of course, it's the best secure password storage. They get a vault for storing every web app, every app login they use. Convenient password sharing, that's important. No more Post-it notes with passwords on it. Employees can securely share logins, keeping access to corporate data safe. Streamlined logins, too. That's important. A security system should be easier to use, not harder. That's LastPass. Capture and fill every credential without disrupting your workflow. I can't live without LastPass anymore. When I go to a website, I hit the button, LastPass fills the login in, logs me in. It couldn't be easier. You also retain centralized control, which is important. You can enforce policies, get actionable insights into employee password behavior from an admin dashboard, simplified user administration. You can add users, you can remove users, you can automate user management, directory integration. I know our IT department loves LastPass. Plus, you get access from anywhere. No matter where employees work, they always have their passwords with them from any device. It eliminates those bad behaviors, like putting it on a website or a spreadsheet or on a Post-it note, that really made you less secure. When user identities are centrally and securely managed, a business can be sure that the correct employee is doing the right thing and has the right access. They'll work more efficiently when they can access data and resources they need easily. LastPass's IAM solutions help businesses improve the employee experience and safeguard your business from cyber threats. I am so glad we use LastPass here at TWiT. I encourage you to go to lastpass.com/TWiT. Let your remote workforce focus on their work, but don't compromise your business security. Secure your remote workforce with LastPass. LastPass.com/TWiT. LastPass.com/TWiT. Thank you, LastPass, for supporting our podcast network and the Tech Guy podcast. LastPass.com/TWiT. Thank you for supporting us by going to that address. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all of that stuff. Augmented reality is going to be the next big thing. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you have questions about that. I'd love to talk to you. 8888 Ask Leo. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call in, but you'd have to use Skype out or something like that. 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go. Ted is in Los Angeles, our next call of the day. Hello, Ted.
Hi.
Hey.
Talk about this thing. They're going to have fun with that 17-year-old in jail.
Oh, boy. I wonder what they do with a 17-year-old. I'm sure they're going to try him as an adult, but do you put him in an adult prison? Sheesh. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah. Almost feel sorry for the kid.
Anyway,
He probably, this is the thing, these young guys, they don't really think it's serious what they're doing. The feds do, and the people whose accounts were hacked, and of course the people who lost money think it's serious. So go ahead. What can we do for you today?
I'm an honorable veteran just out of the hospital. They had me in for 4 months.
Yikes.
I'm wondering if you know of a for real nonprofit who donates computer equipment to veterans that need it.
I don't off the top of my head. You're in Southern California.
Probably something that's state-of-the-art or easily serviceable.
Yes. And usually when companies do this, they provide some level of tech support because they understand. There's Tech for Troops, TECHFOR Troops, and that's for veterans and family in needs. And actually, it's good to mention this because they also accept donations. There are a lot of people who have old computers and are just throwing them away. And honestly, it's better if you can to donate it to a group like this. They're in Virginia, unfortunately, so I don't know what kind of presence they have in Southern California, but that might be one place to go. And if you go to techfortroops.org or you call them, which is 804-521-7979, if they don't have something out here, then they probably can refer you to somebody who does. There are a lot of smaller groups, and that's why I'm really not up on who does what in your area. There are a lot of smaller groups that do this. There's soldiersangels.com. They help vets with laptops. Dell has a military discount program for veterans. They call it, if you're a member of Veterans Advantage, up to 30%. So that's good. The VA may have some suggestions, actually, for that kind of thing. Congress even took this up with legislation called the Computers for Veterans and Students Act that would provide federal surplus and retired computers to nonprofit computer refurbishers who would then distribute them to vets. This was introduced to Congress last month. I don't know where it stands. Oh, no, this is, you know what? I wonder if, now Congress is in a recess. I wonder if it's still alive. They proposed it July 1st, so that would be cool. There will be resources out there for you. Anybody has some suggestions, let us know. Somebody in the chat room says, go to the VFW and ask around. It's often the case that vets support each other better than the government does. I like this idea. There are a number of companies all over the country that take computers, refurbish them, and then offer them to people in need. Quite a few, a surprisingly large number. But I don't know exactly. What was the one? Oh, I'm trying to rack in my brain. It was a girl's name, and I just can't remember the name of it. Chat room will remember. 8888 Ask Leo. You can call, too, if you have a suggestion, or go to the website and add your comment, techguylabs.com. It's free to do that. Ted, I'm glad you're out of the hospital. I hope you're feeling better, and stay tuned. Maybe we'll have some more answers for you. But there's a couple of places you can go. Eric, Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Eric. Eric, are you there? Maybe you're muted. Try unmuting. Hello, Eric.
Hello.
There he is. Hi, Eric.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was getting off the speakerphone because I know how much you guys hate that. And
no problem. No problem.
I apologize.
Don't worry about it. We're here now. What can we do for you?
Thank you. Quick question. This may pertain to a few people out there. I have Windows 7. I like Windows 7. I know it's not being supported. And the realistic answer I'd love to get is I don't go on any crazy sites on PayPal and YouTube and my email and all that. And how long do I have? And if I have to go to 10, which I don't like, is there any way to change it from the way 10 is laid out to make it more like 7? 7's beautiful. They nutted it on 7, and then they screwed up.
I do think 7 was the best version of Windows for a long time. I think 10 is pretty darn close. I don't think there's a whole lot of things on 10 that are different from 7, to be honest. You can make Windows 10 a lot like 7. And we're not talking like Windows 8. Remember, that was a nightmare. I agree with you. You were right to stay away from 8 and 8.11. But I think Windows 10 is pretty good. So here's the risk with 7. As you know, obviously you know, as of early this year, Microsoft said we're no longer going to put out security fixes for Windows 7. That means if there are flaws found, and there have been, they will remain unfixed, and you will remain vulnerable. How would you get hit by that? Well, a couple of ways. Email is probably the #1 way you get hit by malware. You get an email with an attachment that you open it up, or an email with a link that you click, and you get infected. And the real problem here is with these flaws. The worst kind of flaws, and there are some in Windows 7 that have not been fixed, are drive-by attacks. You don't have to do anything. If you click the link and get to the site, or you open the attachment, you're done. You're infected. There's nothing you can do about it. You could even go to a website that is infected, and you wouldn't even maybe know that. This is the worst. You wouldn't maybe even know that you got a bug. But the bug is in your system all the time, monitoring what you're doing, sending back passwords, sending back bank account information, and you just wouldn't know. So that's the real risk. I mean, if you get a malware on there that encrypts your hard drive, you get ransomware. Well, then you can wipe the drive, restore from your backup, and you're okay. I think much more scary is the idea that somebody might have access to everything you're doing without your knowledge. So that's a very real risk with 7. But if you know what the vectors for the attack are, you can try to avoid them. Email is going to be the biggest one. That's if you get an attachment, don't open it. I don't care who it came from. If it has a link in the email, don't click the link. Type it in by hand into the browser. Those things you can avoid. When you're going to websites, you said you only go to YouTube, that's safe. Only go to the most best-known, safest sites. And reasons many sites are seeming, many publications, for instance, seem to be all right, but they sell advertising and they have an automated system. And from time to time, this has happened to some of the biggest publishers. Somebody buys an ad that has malware in it, and you go to that site, you're going to get infected. And you have no defense because Windows 7 is not getting patched. It is possible to use it safely, but if you're going on the internet, it gets harder and harder. There are other options, though, besides going to Windows 10. I mean, Windows 10 is going to be the most like Windows 7. In fact, I would consider it. Microsoft still, we don't want to say this too loudly, because I don't know if they know, but they really are letting you upgrade to 10 for free. Remember, that was a deal in the first year of Windows 10 was, upgrade for free. That deal supposedly expired 4 years ago. But I keep hearing from people who say, I just installed Windows 10 and it didn't ask for money and it's authorized and I'm now using Windows 10. If I were you, I would do it. I know I understand your reluctance, but I think aesthetically, user interface, it's very similar to 7.
All right, yeah, I know that it doesn't have Movie. I like Movie Maker. I use Movie Maker.
You're going to lose Movie Maker, yeah. Well, that's a good reason to keep it.
Yeah.
You could take your chances.
Yeah.
The other option would be to put it, to get a Chromebook for your, I wouldn't do any banking on Windows 7.
Yeah.
But if it's just going to YouTube, watching YouTube videos, you get email, though. That's going to be a risk.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very wise to say, hey, upgrade. And I guess I'm not some old codger, but I do like what I like. And I
don't blame you.
And look, I guess you know what it is. I'm looking at something I'd say, how do you work with this? And 8 was a disaster.
8 is nothing like 8. Reassure yourself, this is so much more like Windows 7 than 8 was. It really feels like Windows 7. There'll be some things that look, and you can make it look the same. But, you nailed it. It actually will uninstall Windows Movie Maker. So that may be a really a showstopper for you. I don't.
Well, it's a big, you have to buy a program or find another one that'll work as well.
Right.
And,
right.
But no, I appreciate it. I just, I talked to a couple of tech people that are, that fix computers, and it's all over the map. Well, it's going to start to degrade, and you're going to be vulnerable. And other people say, you got a few years. Don't worry. Just don't.
That's not true. There's already flaws that have been patched in more recent versions of Windows that are not patched in Windows 7, period. Yeah. The good news is the browser's getting updated. In fact, Microsoft actually, this is a little annoying, pushed out an update to the Edge browser to Windows 7 users. They can do that. That was in their commercial interest. They give you the new browser, but they don't give you security fixes. That's a little annoying. But you can keep your browser up to date. That will certainly help. But you're not getting those critical patches. I just don't, if you're doing it with eyes open and you're very careful, I think you'll be all right. Just don't get tempted to open attachments, click links in email or messages. Don't click random links from strangers or even friends. If you're on Facebook, do you use Facebook?
No.
No
Twitter, no Facebook. I don't bother with it.
Good. That'll save you a little bit. So it's just YouTube, email, and do you do shopping?
On occasion, of course, but that's the thing. If it's like I try to go to secure site. If I'm at Amazon, I'm at Amazon, but I don't have anything vulnerable on my computer that,
well, Windows, that's the point, is that Windows 7 is by itself now vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's the point. But if you're really restrictive about where you go, you probably will be okay. I can't give you 100% assurance.
But upgrade, I get it. I have to get past my getting used to looking at 10. It's like, what is this alien thing?
I understand. Isn't that alien? Here's what I would suggest. You can do it, and you have a couple of weeks to roll back. Right. So it's not a one-way street. There are free movie maker-like apps out there. There are other choices. So I know change is a pain. I understand. I really do. I understand. But this is, and I'm kind of mad at Microsoft, but I also understand, they don't want to have to support it forever. It's been 5 years now. They announced this when they put out the program. We are going to stop supporting it, in 2020. Nobody pays attention to that, but they do announce that. I don't know what the right answer is for you.
No, I thank you, though.
Do it with your eyes open. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck.
All right.
It's not the end of the world. It really isn't. I mean, if you get infected, you get infected. The only thing, and it's probably pretty unlikely, but that's the only thing I would worry about is a drive-by infection that you didn't know you had, and the bad guys were then watching for credit card information and stuff like that. That could be pretty bad. I don't know how common that is. It was on this day, August 1st, 1981, that MTV was launched with the words, "Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll," and the video of this song, The Buggles, "Video Killed the Radio Star." 39 years ago today. MTV certainly changed the music industry. It changed culture dramatically with music videos 24/7. It's long ago abandoned that format. But think of the VJs who became famous in those early days, and the artists, maybe even more importantly, who became famous thanks to MTV. I mean, if it weren't for Madonna's videos, Michael Jackson's videos, Prince's videos, would they have been as successful? I don't know. A lot of people grew up on MTV 39 years ago today. And now they're just playing reality shows over and over again. What a day. What a change in the world. On we go with the show. Chrissy in Canyon Country, California. Hey, Chrissy.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Leo.
Hi. Thanks for hanging on.
you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I just ordered a sandwich while I was online
Good.
with you, and I'm about to pick it up.
What kind of sandwich?
Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's. And what did you get?
A turkey.
Okay. Well, I'm sure your mouth is watering, so let's help you quickly so you can go get your sandwich.
All right, very good. All right, so here's my dilemma. I have years and years of digital photos from way back in the early 90s when we used Seattle Filmworks. I don't know if that rings a bell.
Yeah. It sure does, yeah.
Yeah. And now, of course, on my phone, I just take pictures of everything. So, I probably have 2,000 photos on my phone right now that I need to, transfer over. But anyway, I have all of my photos in like 3 or 4 different spots.
Yeah.
Backup. I did a backup like on a
I recently
drive.
This is annoying because you'll have multiple copies and
yeah,
it's frustrating.
I wondered how I could easily merge them all into one gigantic spot and then have a nice fresh backup.
Isn't that a great idea? I just did this. I got to take a little break at the bottom, but I will tell you what I went through. You don't have to hang on. You got to go get that Jersey Mike's. I hope you ordered it Mike's way. But I will, when we come back, I'll talk about what I just did. Tech Guy Podcast brought to you today by Monday.com. Oh, man. We just started using it. I've been using it for a while. We just started, really kind of, well, here's what happened. Monday.com. Let me first tell you what it is. It's a team management platform that lets people, if multiple people are working on projects from 5 to 5,000, it lets those teams manage, plan, and track work in a centralized place. You still use any of the tools you've always used because it integrates. Well, for us, it was important. It integrates with Slack. We use that. Zoom, nowadays, it's got to work with that. Email, calendars, spreadsheets, all our Google Drive docs, all that stuff works great within Monday.com. But now it becomes a centralized version, point of truth where everything, you can go there and everything's up to date. It's automatically done. And I'll tell you what changed it, because with Monday.com, you can get an onboarding specialist work with you to help you get the most out of that platform. And we got Reggie, and he sat down and he showed me some things to do. He helped me set up our boards, and it was like, wow, this is so great. This is so great. We didn't have to change how we work, but now there's a centralized place where we can keep everyone connected, keep them on track. One of the best things, fewer meetings, because who's working on what stage of the program they're at, where if they're completed. It makes effective teamwork possible anywhere. Monday.com is a project management platform that makes effective teamwork possible anywhere. And nowadays with people, we're all at home, right? Micah, my co-host on iOS Today, Jason, Ant, they're all working out of their houses. We don't have meetings. We can't have meetings. We do a little Zoom calling, but with Monday.com, we don't have to do as much as that even, because it's all in one place. Centralized communication. They had great remote-ready templates. No matter what you do, no matter how you like to look at it, your dashboard fits your needs. Gantt charts, timelines, Kanbans, spreadsheet-like tables, whatever it is you use, Monday.com has you covered. Completely customizable. It'll increase your productivity and effectiveness while facilitating transparency, which helps with collaboration. And as I said, fewer meetings, because you always know. There's no question. I love the no-code automations. You don't have to write the code. The automations are there. They've got templates that let you put your team's workflow on autopilot. You get alerts, automatic status updates, project flows, so you know exactly where you are. You can use all your existing tools, just port them right in. It grabs the data as needed. You can look at it, and these dashboards make it so easy to make data-driven decisions. It's hard to describe. It's super visual. You could track projects, how they're doing, the progress. You can see the timelines. You can see budgets. So now you're making decisions not in the fog of mystery, but with clarity. you can really see the data in real time. You're not guessing anymore. You know, I'm not surprised to learn 100,000 teams get things done with Monday.com. Ours is one of them. Change the way you work online. Let Monday.com take care of what slows you down and free up more time to focus on the work that drives you. This is a modern tool. There's never been anything like it that completely transforms how you work. And you can find out for yourself because they've got a free 14-day trial waiting for you at monday.com/twit. Monday, monday.com/twit. Try it free for 2 weeks. You'll be hooked. You'll be hooked. You'll love it. And then get Reggie or one of his cohorts to help you, and you just have the most amazing experience. Monday.com. We thank you so much, not only for advertising on the podcast, but for helping us organize the podcast. Monday.com/twit. I love it. Is that Will Smith? Wickety-wah. He's a movie star now. In fact, boy, did you see Apple just bought rights to his next movie, which won't be in production until, I think, next year. They spent, I think, $130 million to get exclusive rights on Apple TV to the next Will Smith movie called, I think it's called Emancipation. Yeah. Should be really interesting. Antoine Fuqua is directing it. That's how big shot he is now. Forget wickety-wah. Will Smith is worth $130 million. 8888 Ask Leo. So we're talking about, this is such a good topic, photo libraries. And we now get our photos in a lot of sources. She had scanned photos, scanned stills and negatives and so forth from Seattle Filmworks. She takes new photos, thousands on her iPhone. We're all in this boat. I actually do a lot of photography too, so I have photos in a lot of different applications and a lot of different places on my hard drive. Wouldn't it be nice to get one database of all your photos, ideally the originals, so they're not duplicated, and then back that up so you have it forever? It's kind of the holy grail for any photographer, and it's really hard if you haven't been doing that from day one. I hadn't. I had photos from all over the place. Now, I'm on a Mac, so I'll tell you what I did on Mac, but I think you can do exactly the same thing on a PC as well. But what I've done, and I am glad I've been doing this all along. Every camera phone I use, I automatically have the photos upload to Google Photos. That works on iOS and Android. That's a nice thing because Google Photos is essentially a backup. Plus, they use a lot of artificial intelligence to make it really easy to search for my photos. So you can type, pictures I took at the Getty in Los Angeles, and it will find them all. Somehow it knows I was at the Getty, and those are all. And so that's really nice. Pictures of snowstorms in New York City, it can find them. So one of the other things I did, because I appreciate that so much, I also had all my fancy photos uploaded. There's a Google Photos desktop app that you can run on your computer that will back up your photos. I felt like this is good. I've got a backup. I've got this classification. Makes it easy to share, make photo albums. It can even print books. So I like that. But there was a problem because I also got a lot of duplication from Google Photos. Plus, because it was backing up from my desktop, it got a lot of images I didn't take or images of screenshots, things I didn't want. So I took the trouble, and it was a lot of trouble, to Google offers this feature for all of their services. There's something called Google Takeout, takeout.google.com, where you can say, I want to download everything you've got. I literally downloaded my entire Google Photos collection. Took a while because they divided up into 2 gigabyte zip files, and there were 264 of them. There were a lot. So I'm sitting here on my hard drive with all of those files. And I've messed with it for a while. I eventually found a way using various applications, some command line applications, some graphic applications from Macintosh, and some duplicate applications to unzip everything, sort it all into folders. The way I organized it, and the way I like to organize it, is there's one top-level folder called Original Photos. Under there is years. 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002. These are all folders. Inside each of those is the month. 2020, 01, 02, 03, 04 for the 12 months. Inside each month is the days. And then inside the day folder is all the photos taken on that day. Took a little work to get, many of the photos didn't have, well, one thing that happens when you download them from Google, the file date is the date you downloaded them suddenly. So I had a lot of photos from July 12th. But I was able to, using a variety of programs, change the file names, make them reflect the date of the capture. And most of the photos you take, especially if they're JPEGs, I don't know about the Seattle Filmworks stuff, but most of them will have something called EXIF data. Extra information stored inside the photo that will have things like the day the photo was taken, information about the camera and so forth. So there are programs. I used a couple of command line programs, one called JHEAD, J-H-E-A-D, one called EXIF tool, E-X-I-F tool, to go through all the photos. And the reason you do this in a command line is you can do it with one command. Took hours, goes through all those. I think there were 60 or 70,000 images, and renames them to match the date, fixes the creation date, the file creation date, to match the photo creation date, and then puts them in those folders. But I have another problem, because now I have a lot of duplicates and a lot of stuff I don't like. I don't want to keep. That's another problem for another day. I did a couple of things. Now, on the Macintosh, there's a really great program, not free, called Gemini 2. Highly recommended. If you're on Windows, I'm sure there are a number of really good dedupe programs. I've seen a number of them. Maybe the chat room will have one they recommend. What you want is a file duplication deleter that's smart enough to actually look at the contents of the file, not merely look at the file name or the date, but actually look at the contents. And modern programs can create a hash, a distinctive number that reflects the contents, and then anything that matches that hash is an exact duplicate, regardless of file name, creation date, anything else. That's what Gemini does. So it takes a while. It looks at every photo. It does offer you, if you want to go through it, you can look at all of the things that thinks are duplicates, and you can confirm or deny. If you're really careful, you do that. I got tired of it after a while. There were tens of thousands of duplicates. So I let it do the job, and I think it did a pretty good job. So that's Gemini 2 from a company called MacPaw. There are dedupers. There are a lot of dedupers available on the Windows side that'll do the same thing. So now I've got rid of the duplicates, although it turned out that Google Photos and I think other programs I was using will also save edited versions of the photo, and they'll give it another name like -02 or -A, B, C, D, E, F. So I had to go through and delete obvious edits. And that took a little time. But by the time I was done, I had a very nice, organized set of folders. I did have to go in there because there were a number of, there were a lot of photos in the July 12th, 2020. Remember, that was the date I downloaded these. These were photos that didn't have any information about the capture date in there. So they were, the file name was unchanged. The creation date was unchanged. Those I had to go through by hand. Most of them were things like screenshots, kind of stuff I didn't want to keep. That's why there was no file capture information in there. They weren't captured with a camera, whether it was a smartphone or a regular camera. By the time I was done, though, I paired out, maybe 30% of those photos. I was able to merge it with the ones I'd saved and to create a set of folders on my computer reflecting all the photos I've taken. Now you want to back that up. You could back it up to an external hard drive. I made several copies because once you do this, and by the way, you might do the same thing with your contact list. There are things where you're doing syncing where you're starting to get a lot of duplicates. I bet you have duplicates in your contact list. The idea is make a perfect one and then back it up. And that's your Bible right there. That's the copy that's good. That's going to be good, and that's the one you want to work with from then on. So Gemini 2, there are dedupers. We'll get a few for Windows that do the same thing. I think this is a worthwhile project. It took me a few days, not of solid work, but figuring out things. Once I was done, though, I felt pretty good. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What's the best Windows deduper? Deduper is one that's been around forever. Here's an article, the top 5 best duplicate photo cleaners for Windows 10. Duplicate Photos Fixer Pro, Awesome Duplicate Photo Finder, VisiPix. All of these are going to do roughly the same thing. Duplicate Photo Cleaner and Duplicate Files Fixer. I'll tell you what, I will put that link in our show notes. All of these will do the same thing for all kinds of files. They're not unique to photos. You want something, though, that's smart enough to look into the contents of the file. And I didn't go into detail, but what happens is there are well-known mathematical formulas for taking a pile of bits, a pile of data, and converting it into a number. We call it a hash. And it can be done in such a way that it's highly unlikely that 2 files that aren't identical will have the same hash. It's possible, but it's like 1 in 100 million. Very unlikely. So if those two files have the same hash, it's much faster to go through all the files, calculate a hash for all the files, and then compare hashes. That's the fastest thing to do. So almost all of these good dedupers, that's what they do. They go through the file contents, and that way they're assuring bit for bit. If I say it's a duplicate, it is a bit for bit match, not based on file name, file date, anything but the actual contents of the file. CRC is one way to do this, absolutely. Cyclic redundancy check. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I used to get hives when I heard this song. But that's because I was I was a DJ. What year did Saturday Night Fever come out?
Boy,
I should probably look this up. I could ask Google. It came out in 1977.
Oh, okay.
And the Bee Gees soundtrack the next year was so hot. It was #1 hit after #1 hit after #1 hit. And I was a DJ starting out my radio career. I played these songs till there was no more groove left on the record. And I used to be, I couldn't hear these songs without, but now they sound good.
Good, yeah. You've grown up.
I've grown up. I've grown up. The signal for Dick DeBartolo is a disco tune. Dick is Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and he's our gizmo wizard. He brings us fun and cool gadgets every week at this time. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo. So, Leo, we won't be seeing each other in 2021.
What?
At CES.
Oh, no CES.
No CES.
They're going virtual.
Well, you weren't going anyway. I wasn't going anyway.
No, I think they might have realized that they could have it, but nobody would show up. It would be more embarrassing than just biting the bullet and making it virtual.
Yes, spending $1 billion setting everything up and saying, no one wanted to come.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a neat gadget from Soundcore, and it's called the Flare 2.
Now, wait a minute. Now, Soundcore is a familiar name. Why do I know Soundcore?
Soundcore is a division of Anker, A-N-K-E-R. We know them for all those phone charging devices.
I love Anker.
Oh, yeah.
They make the best third-party phone batteries, things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we may have seen this device at CES 2020, and it came out, I think, in June or July. So basically, I'm just going to play a couple of seconds of it. So it's...
Wow, that's quite a bit of bass.
Own LED lights, 4 at top and bottom.
Oh, it's like you're getting a little light show to go with your disco there.
Exactly. And it comes with an app, and you can program the light show the way you want.
So this is a Bluetooth speaker. Now, the Anker Soundcore division has done a lot of really competitive, nice stuff at a special low price.
Exactly.
They seem very good at that.
So this thing is $69.
Wow. For this, a Bluetooth speaker.
A Bluetooth.
Yep.
Party Cast.
What's that?
So you can Party Cast. You can pair 100 of them,
and they can all be in your potty.
They'll all be in sync. It's waterproof.
They're in the sink in your bathroom?
No, in sync.
Oh, they're in sync.
In sync. Yeah. And actually, there's a thing on YouTube, and I called the people at Soundcore, and I said, wait a minute, do you know about that video? And
this said, is Linus Tech Tips. So Linus is a great YouTuber.
He said he wanted to do them. We said, if you want to do it, we'll send you 100
They sent him 100 Soundcore. What are they called? The Flare 2.
The Flare
and he
2,
got them all playing the same music at the same time, all in sync, and it worked.
Yeah, built them in a big wall. The wall fell over once because I think there was too much bass, but they got them all hooked together.
So this is something that for a long time was kind of the holy grail of full whole home audio, was getting speakers in every room that would be sound in sync. And if you've ever tried this, if they're not in sync, it sounds like you're in an echo chamber.
Yes.
But this works. Until Sonos, there was no way to do it. But now it seems like everybody can do it. So I feel bad that I spent thousands of dollars on Sonos gear.
Well, yeah, but you were the first. We were so impressed that you could do that. and now we have a chance to sit back and say,
once a year, I would do party mode. And it was great. If you're having a party, I just don't have that many parties, but if you're having a party, it's wonderful. You wander from room to room, and the music's the same everywhere. It fills the house.
Yeah. No.
Now, so these are smaller Bluetooth speakers. They sound pretty good.
You know what? I'll just hit that again. For a little guy.
I mean, it's hard for us to tell on the radio, but yeah. It's going through Skype and all of that.
Yeah, no, exactly. It sounds really great. And as it's waterproof, so I did drop it in a jar of water, and it kept playing. So it's 20 watts of sound, 12 hours of playtime on a full charge, USB-C charging. You get a USB-C cable included in the box. And then there's a little bass up button, but even the guy who was syncing 100 of these said you don't even need the bass up button.
Well, you wouldn't if you had 100 of them.
Right. Because
wow.
On its own, it sounds great. And $69.
So you control it with one app on your phone that talks to just one of them, and then it talks to all the rest?
Yes. And when I spoke to Soundcore, I said, if you buy two, will they be a right and left? And he said yes.
Wow.
So
this is pretty tempting. I especially like the light show.
The first one was $99, and it just had a ring at the top. So now they have ring bouncing lights, top and bottom, and $69.
Anchor often has sales, so that's the list. But if you keep your eye peeled, you might even see a
absolutely,
better deal. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Information is at Dick's website, the gizwiz.biz site that I refer to so often. He even has that video to the Linus Tech Tips where he has 100 of them, and an Amazon link. That is really great. The Anchor Soundcore Flare 2. I think this would be great for the pool, by the pool or by the hot tub, too, because it can get wet.
Yes.
I see you dunked it in a fishbowl.
I dropped it in a big jar of water.
And it kept playing.
It kept, yeah, wow. It gets really muted when it's underwater.
Wow. Well, there you go. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Gizwiz.biz, while you're over there at his website, don't forget to play the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine by identifying a close-up picture of a gizmo or a gadget. He's got lots of other stuff there, including copies of his book, Good Days in Mad, the best memoir ever written about the heyday of Mad Magazine. And now that Mad is kind of fading off into the sunset, I think it's nice to celebrate it. Dick will even autograph that for you. And don't forget Dick's podcast he does with Chad Johnson. It's called GizWiz TV at gizwiz.tv. Dickie D, thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Do you use Tick Tock, Dick?
I don't.
The
Are
Verge,
you worried it might be going away?
Well, the president said yesterday he was going to sign an executive order banning it. I don't know what the status is. He said he'd do it as soon as today. The Journal had reported that Microsoft was having talks to buy the American division. Apparently now, according to The Verge, those talks are on hold, and apparently so is the president's order. What's new? What's new? It's just kooky.
Some days you wonder what next.
You know, a lot of times if you just don't read the news, you don't miss anything.
You want to know something? There are days when I pick up the Times, I look at the headline, and I go, not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today. I'm having a good day. Let's not make it worse. Thank you, Dickie D. Have a great
buddy,
day.
I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Professor Laura, for spinning the discs. We appreciate it. She's our musical director. Kim Schaffer, our phone angel, answering the phones, getting you on the air. Thanks to all of you who called and, of course, all of you who listen. We couldn't do it without you. We'll come back and do it again next time, will you? We got still plenty to talk about. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Each and every one of you, have a safe and great Geek Week. Take care. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, TWiT. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.